The Rock River Valley Blood Center asks residents to make time to donate blood ahead of the 4th of July holiday, warning that supplies often tighten just as demand rises. To encourage turnout from June 29th through July 3rd, donors receive incentives including a patriotic beach towel, a free nothing bundt cake treat, an entry into a $1,000 gift card drawing from Kelly Williamson. You can find centers in Rockford, Belvedere, and Freeport, along with mobile drives across the region.
The 4th of July is a time where people are traveling more, there's parties, there's events going on, and the need for blood always tends to increase. There's more car accidents, there's fireworks accidents, there's things where people get into traumas and they need blood, and every year we really struggle to keep up with those needs.